Hey, welcome to the Michelle Mission, Two Men, One Podcast, every black film ever made. My name is Len, aka the That Tribble. And as always, I am joined by my partner.
Hey, this is Vincent Williams.
Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are reviewing Vincent's selection.
Yes, we are.
From 1968. Yes, Vincent dug in the crates and he dug deep.
That's why I don't mess with the crates.
You don't know what you're doing.
That's why I mess with the crates.
Going in, just picking any old
Yes,
crap.
right.
And what he picked for you is a doozy. Sammy Davis Jr., Peter Lawford in the swinging British spy spoof they call Salt and Pepper.
Salt and pepper.
And wait till we tell you the big joke.
I was about to say. We don't want to ruin the joke.
You don't want to ruin it.
Don't want to ruin it.
No. Stay tuned.
Stay
You
tuned.
do not want to miss the big reveal of Salt and Pepper. All right?
Bruce Willis was a ghost. Charlton Heston was on Earth the entire time.
Yes.
He didn't travel through space. He traveled through time.
Mhm.
Darth Vader is in fact Luke's father.
Yes.
And then there's Salt and Pepper. But we'll get to that.
We'll get to that as well, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to take a quick pause while we are doing this because there were battles letting me know that we sound like we are in a tunnel.
Oh no.
I don't want that. I want to be in a tunnel.
Unless it's a time tunnel.
Nobody wants to be in a time tunnel.
Not even a time tunnel.
No, not at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this.
Okay.
Plug that in. And then check our volume.
We're doing it live, folks.
Everything sounded like it was okay to me. As I check here and headphones, and I'm talking. That does sound like a little bit of a tunnel.
I wonder what that's about.
I don't know.
Is Mercury in retrograde?
No, Mercury is not in retrograde. I don't believe Mercury is in retrograde.
Is it the sunset of the age of Aquarius?
I don't know. Hold on a second. I'm going to check a couple of things here. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen, as I do my work here.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to go here.
Okay.
And that's good. I think I know. I think I know what's up. Hold on 1 second. Now, if I can do this. Now, I'm going to be talking into the microphone, and I think we're doing better now.
Okay.
We shouldn't sound like we're in a tunnel anymore.
Excellent.
Because what it was that your microphone was on. And I don't need your microphone on because everything is going through the system.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Ground control to Major Tom.
So hopefully everything has been cleared up now.
Okay.
Damon, well, maybe it's not. Damon is saying that it sounds like Roger and Troutman and T-Pain are collaborating.
Still? Is that a real-time comment?
That's what he's saying. It sounds like he's saying in real time. But everything is sounding good on me. Boom, 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 boom. Talk.
I'm talking and I'm tapping.
Yeah, and your microphone is muted, so that should be good.
Okay.
All right. Everything. Hold on, I turn them off. Everything is good. Everything's good over here.
And we certainly want to keep our very insightful and important review of Salt and Pepper.
Okay. Everybody says it sounds fine now. Okay. All right.
This is ground control to Major Tom.
All right. So let's start the show over.
Let's start the show over.
Let's do it.
All right.
Hey, welcome to the Michelle Mission, Two Men, One Podcast, every black film ever made. My name is Len, aka the Bat Tribble. And as always, I am joined by my partner.
Hey, this is Vincent Williams.
Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are reviewing Vincent's selection for the mission.
Yes.
And it's a doozy that he dug from the lower depths of the crates.
Put my whole hand in.
Yes.
It's like that tree thing in Flash Gordon that they put their hands in.
I don't remember that from Flash.
Oh, come on,
Is that
man.
from the 1980 Flash Gordon?
Which other one actually matters?
You're talking to a
yes, no, yes, where they went to the planet, Timothy Dalton's planet. Remember, he was on the Robin Hood planet.
Okay.
And they had the tree stump that you had to prove your manhood.
I don't really remember.
Oh, you are
remember.
Actually the worst.
Why? Because I don't remember.
Because you don't remember the tree stump thing in Flash Gordon that Timothy Dalton on the Robin Hood planet. It was how it was the rite of passage for the Robin Hood young men.
Vincent.
And you would put your arm in, and it was like a worm in that would sting you.
Vincent, the only thing that people remember from that Flash Gordon movie is 1, the poster, 2, the shirt that Sam Rockwell, or whatever his name is, wears.
You need to think about the fact that you know the man's name who played Flash Gordon.
And the soundtrack by Queen.
Yeah.
Nobody remembers anything about the friggin' plot.
Surprisingly watchable.
Now your brother, of course, says, come on, Len, he saved every one of us. No, duh.
He saved every one of us.
No, duh. In the Flash Gordon movie, he saved everyone.
That's right.
Like, you don't need to know the story to know that.
That's right.
Okay, so Damon, like, be quiet.
He was a quarterback.
Yeah, okay. All right. No, nobody remembers anything.
And Topol was in it.
Yes. Yes, that's right. Flash Gordon was fighting Ming the Merciless with a tube of toothpaste next to him. That's right.
Max von
Sydow.
Did he ever win an Academy Award?
Not for Flash Gordon.
No, I know not for Flash Gordon, but just generally, did he ever win an Academy Award?
I don't know.
Okay, because you fool around, it was 2 Academy Award winners in it.
Who?
Didn't Topol win one for Fiddler on the Roof?
Oh, yeah, he won for Fiddler. Did he win? Okay.
I don't know if he did. It seemed like he did. He was very good in it. Tradition.
You look that up. And
Tradition.
You look that up. I'll finish introducing the
I'm
movie.
sorry.
We haven't even.
I'm sorry. You threw me off because you said you didn't remember that part of Flash Gordon.
Nobody remembers it.
Everyone remembers
only
that
you
part.
and Damon.
Right.
Only you, your brother, and I guess by proxy your sister, who probably tied up in the room to watch it with you.
All right. I'll see if Topol won an Academy Award for Fiddler on the Roof.
Fiddler on the Roof.
Right.
See if Max von Sydow won.
Max von Sydow also won. All right. But please continue.
Trust me, ladies and gentlemen, no Academy Awards were handed out for the film we're reviewing here. From 1968, Sammy Davis Jr. and Peter Lawford star in Salt and Pepper, not to be confused with the Salt and Pepper movie. This is the Salt and Pepper movie, which has a plot twist that you will not see coming, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Boy, wait for it. All right. But until then, shout out to each and every one of you out there in the chat as we are streaming live via StreamYard to Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Twitch. Vince, what did you find out?
He was nominated.
Topol.
He
did not win.
He did not win.
Who do you know who won?
Well, in 1971.
That was 1971?
It was 1970, which seems really weird. I thought it was later than that.
I thought it was earlier.
Oh, no, I guess that's right, because Starsky was in it, and he was really young.
Paul Michael Glazier.
I love the fact that you know Starsky's real name.
Do you know why I know Paul Michael Glazier?
Because you're a weirdo that likes all this old stuff.
You know why else I know Paul Michael Glazier?
No.
Because I grew up in a house with a twin sister who was ravenously in love with Paul Michael Glazier.
He was real cool.
And there's an episode of Starsky and Hutch where Starsky gets shot.
Oh, no.
And lays in a coma for the entire episode.
Oh, no.
And my sister watched that episode crying. Fast forward to we're adults and TV shows are coming out on DVD. And for one birthday, I gave my sister the complete box set of Starsky and Hutch.
Mm-hmm.
She cried all over again because she said, I haven't seen that episode in almost 25 years.
Oh.
And now she probably watches it once a year. She introduced it to her daughter. Yeah, so that's why I know Paul Michael Glacier.
Yeah, Topol lost, but I mean, my God, he lost to Gene Hackman for the French Connection.
Well,
so that's a good loss.
Yeah, that's
a good loss.
Did Max von Sydow win an Academy Award?
Now I'm going to look up Max von Sydow. We're not saying that this is way more interesting than Salt and Pepper, but we're not saying.
No, we're not.
Let me see, Max von Sydow.
Max von Sydow.
What would he have won for, I wonder? Let me see, awards and nominations.
Awards and nominations. He's probably
he's been nominated twice.
Yeah, I had to think he's been nominated more than once.
For Pele the Conqueror.
Don't know that
in 1987, and for Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close in 2011.
But he's never won.
No.
Okay.
But he was one of the oldest nominees at 82.
I believe that. All right.
So there were no Academy Award winners in Flash Gordon.
Flash Gordon. Yet another
Believe
fun
it
fact.
or not.
I know which side of the ledger I land. Let's get into Vincent. We got some listener mail.
All right.
We have a comment, actually.
Okay.
Via YouTube from Raw House LLC on our Dead Presidents episode.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, going in, digging in the crates a little bit. They write, I am a strong believer that Dead Presidents should have started off with Anthony coming back from Vietnam and using the other 2/3 of the film as flashback points for Anthony. We notice how most of the characters from the first portion of the film are reintroduced in the third portion, and even Leon from the second portion is reintroduced, using those moments as flashback points to help introduce those characters would have been fine. An authentic look at Anthony's mindset in present time as a contrast to past memories. This is where a movie could have become noticeably better if it was edited differently. It's a nice little comment there.
It is a nice comment.
See people digging in the crates a little bit. And we also heard from Terry Plain in regards to our review of Akeelah and the Bee.
Okay.
Hi, Len and Vince. Thanks for a great review of Akeelah and the Bee. Keke Palmer is a treasure, and I'm so happy to see her flourish in both film and TV. Interestingly, I recently saw her in an indie film, Alice, where she starred and was also the executive producer. Alice is supposed to be based on actual events about a woman who was enslaved on a farm with her family.
Mm-hmm.
She eventually escapes only to find out it was 1973.
Mm-hmm. That's
she
right.
and her family for generations were never told they were emancipated. The plot seems preposterous, but fact is stranger than fiction. The movie stars one of Show Mission's favorites, Common.
Mm-hmm.
So you know where this movie is headed. Alice was on the big screen, so I would love for you to add it to the road to 400. It would be an excellent addition to May's roster of Mother May I.
Aww.
Onward and upward to 400. Terry Plain. P.S. Please, 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 please add Tijuana Jackson to the list.
Okay. I remember when Alice was out.
Yeah.
And I remember being vaguely interested in it for a couple of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly the plot. I knew it was based on true events. And that's one of my favorite storylines. Spoiler. That's part of why I love The Village so much.
Oh, I can dig it.
Yeah. Also, because you know I wasn't going to leave well enough alone. While there were not 2 Oscar-winning performances in Flash Gordon,
mm-hmm.
there was someone who was the recipient of 2 Oscars. And that would be Danilo Donati, the costume designer, who won an Oscar for the costumes in 1968's Romeo and Juliet and 1976's Fellini's Casanova. So there you go.
but not
for Flash Gordon.
not for Flash Gordon.
Not for Flash Gordon. The costume's really nice.
The shirt is nice. It's memorable.
This is right. So
I mean, everything else is.
I'm just saying the costumes are nice.
The
Like you
shirt is
just a
nice.
hater right now, but
The
the
shirt is
costumes are
nice.
nice.
The shirt is nice.
Mhm.
We also got an interesting comment in the Facebook group from Volia Plain, and
Hey, Volia Plain.
and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name. She says that she is just discovering a man called Hawk.
Yeah.
I did not realize I needed this in my life. The Chocolate City Afrocentricity just sings to my heart.
You know what? It's so funny. A friend of mine who is younger than us has a girlfriend who's a little younger than him.
Okay.
So his girlfriend is significantly younger than us. He just introduced her to a man called Hawk.
Oh, really?
And she was like, I can't even believe this existed. And I was like, yeah, we were there and we couldn't believe it existed.
Very true. Haven't seen that movie.
The show, you mean?
I mean, I haven't seen that show in a long, long time.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I never saw all of them because it was only the one season.
It was the one
season,
season,
only half.
Right, I was about to say, and they did something real funky with it. I think by the third episode, they were like, "Oh yeah, this is way too black. We need to go ahead and get this off.
You just burn these out.
Yeah,
burn these off. Yeah." And then he summarily returned to the show from which he spun off,
Spencer for Hire. Right, right. And I always joke, you can tell the seasons of Deep Space Nine get better and better each season as he starts to look more and more like Hawk.
Avery Brooks,
the actor who portrays Hawk and Captain Benjamin Sisko.
Yes, and because after a certain time, Deep Space Nine turns to Hawk in space.
It's just Hawk in space, and then Michael Dorn shows up as Worf, and it's just two deep voiced black men, going back and forth doing space stuff.
Yeah. Oh, just a little bit of news. Did you notice recently that James Earl Jones is retiring as the voice of Darth Vader?
I did see that.
Yeah. I mean, look, he put in the work.
Absolutely.
But from what I understand, in signing off as the voice, he actually gave Disney and Lucasfilms license to use his voice, his years of recording,
right, for digital recreations,
so they can continue on with that voice.
Yes,
in that. So that's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm assuming that they wrote him a nice check.
Oh yeah. Well, I got a funny feeling, after the original run, when it was time to come back. Well, not even then. Probably around the times where Darth Vader starts showing up in the cartoons and things like that, and there's only one Darth Vader voice.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
James Earl renegotiated things pretty nicely for himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm glad he's able to leave under his own terms.
Yeah. That's very good. That's very cool. All right. Speaking of. You brought this up. I didn't. Speaking of misaged couples.
Okay.
All right. I don't even need this anymore. I don't know if you remember not long ago when I started our top 5 feature.
Okay.
I started with a top 5 actors who did not deserve to be the romantic leads with Nia Long.
Really? We're going to do this on here?
In film.
We're going to do this on the movie podcast.
Do you remember that?
I do remember. I do remember.
You do remember that?
I feel like I may have had to sign some court documents about. Yes.
Nevertheless. Well, I never thought that this would happen, but I believe the time has come to update
the list.
Interesting. To update the top 5 not ready for Nia Long players. Right.
Someone you want to add to this list, I assume.
Well,
update this list.
It's interesting that you say that it's someone that I want to add, because it actually is not just someone that I want to add. It's 5. It is indeed 5 new participants in the Nia Long Not Ready for Nia Long players.
Okay.
Is
this a top 5 or is this just
top 5?
This is a top 5. This is because I didn't see the placard and hear the music. I didn't know if this was just a Len Fever Dream 5. I didn't know if this was an official top 5 or.
Oh, it is an official top 5.
It is official. So this goes.
You're right. So I should play the music.
I was about to play the music because otherwise I'll have to be in court again.
Right.
With Ms. Long's lawyers.
Very good. So let's go top.
Who's your top 5? My top 5 is. My top 5 is. My top 5 is.
All right. Top 5 not ready for Nia Long players.
Do you believe that Len Webb is a danger to Nia Long? Excuse me, Your Honor, could you repeat the question?
Number 5.
Number 5, because it's 5 of them. 5 more.
Ime Udoka. Who was a journeyman basketball player. Now, for those who do not know, Ime Udoka and Nia Long have actually been dating for quite some time.
They maybe a little more intense than dating, but we'll go with dating.
Well, yeah.
And they have a child
because they have a child,
and they've been together
which was born like in 2011. So apparently they were together before then.
Right.
But I don't know if people know that Ime Udoka is he is the definition of a journeyman basketball player.
Okay,
do you know what that means?
Yes, I just know him as the coach.
You just know him as a coach. But they met, before 2011 because that's when they had the child.
Yeah.
Right. Now, at that point, he was playing for the San Antonio Spurs.
Okay.
Previous to that.
Oh boy, how much longer are we going to talk about this man's basketball?
Well, I'm just talking about because he was a journeyman basketball player who is also, it should be noted, 6 years younger than Nia Long.
I mean,
so he was already shooting way past his weight.
Look,
he's fighting way past his weight.
Look, nothing ventured, nothing gained.
2006, 2007, he's playing with the Portland Trail Blazers.
Okay. 2007,
2009, he's with the San Antonio Spurs.
We are still talking about his basketball
2009,
career.
2010, he's with the Sacramento Kings. 2010, 2011, he's back with the San Antonio Spurs. And 2012, he's playing overseas.
Okay.
So he's a journeyman basketball player who somehow got the golden ticket.
Hey, man.
And got Nia Long.
Fortune favors the bold.
So even at that point, he was not worthy, not ready.
Tall, good-looking guy probably doesn't hurt.
That probably doesn't hurt, but still.
All right.
Now, number 4.
You're not even going to acknowledge that the man is a coach.
Ime Udoka, assistant coach. So now he's got Nia Long.
Please continue.
He's got Nia Long.
He grew a beard.
He grew a beard.
Yeah.
And he's been able to somehow make his way over to coaching.
Yes.
Okay. He becomes like an assistant coach with the San Antonio Spurs.
Okay.
He returns from Europe. He's now with the San Antonio Spurs. And San Antonio Spurs, historically have a very deep bench of coaches. Like they have like about almost 6 or 7 coaches.
Oh,
he's like the 7th coach.
Fascinating.
He's like the 7th coach.
This is way more interesting than Flash Gordon.
Right. But he still got Nia Long.
Still with Nia Long.
And he's an assistant coach.
Number 4, the assistant coach obviously also doesn't deserve her.
Because Nia Long could have anybody.
Right. So we've got the journeyman player doesn't deserve her.
And then
the assistant coach doesn't deserve her.
Right.
Wow. Who's 3?
I'm glad you asked. Number 3 is Ime Udoka. The Celtics, nah, bruh. Here, is where the first sign of his duplicity
Oh,
becomes apparent.
foreshadowing,
Yes,
one might say.
because he ended his assistant coaching career as an assistant coach
Mhm.
with the Philadelphia 76ers.
Oh,
Okay. And again, he's on the bench. He's like about maybe like the second or third assistant. So he's
Right,
worked
right.
his way up a little bit.
Right.
And like Nia Long's coming to the Wells Fargo Center. She's in the stands.
Sure.
you know.
Were you allowed to be at the games at this point, or
I was watching on television.
you was watching on television?
I
Okay,
was watching on television.
I guess that's more than 1,000 feet. Go ahead.
Yes. And so okay, you've worked your way up,
Okay.
right?
Right.
But then,
Mm-hmm.
as an assistant coach for the Philadelphia 76ers,
Okay.
he goes and becomes the head coach for the Boston Celtics, who even you
Yes. Even
don't
me.
even know basketball.
I
You
I
know
saw the fish that saved
that the
Pittsburgh 4
Philadelphia
times.
76ers most hated historic rival
Are
is
the Celtics.
the Boston Celtics.
There you go. Context helps everything.
And you don't go from assistant coaching the Philadelphia 76ers to coaching the Boston Celtics.
He was a Jet, and then he became a Shark.
Exactly. That is a sign that he is not to be trusted.
Not to be trusted.
He's-
Foreshadowing.
It's all right there.
This is only number 3.
It's only right number 3. All I'm dealing with is facts here.
You've
You've
told no lies.
Dealing with conjecture.
No.
I'm dealing with facts.
Okay.
The facts was he was not to be trusted.
Okay. Number 2.
Number 2, Ime Udoka, hush.
I don't even know what this means. Is this some weird sex thing? What is happening right now? What is going on right now?
What this is that he gets into Boston, right? He's the head coach of the Boston Celtics. I don't like the Boston Celtics. Can't stand the Boston Celtics.
Sure.
But this black man,
Of course not.
rookie coach, gets them all the way to the NBA Finals.
Impressive. Look at what a good woman can do for you.
And you know what? I'm gonna, you know what? I don't want to root for you. I'm not rooting for you, but I'm giving you your props.
That's right.
I'm giving you your props, right?
Right.
However,
Mm,
do you remember?
I don't.
Going geeky here. The Batman graphic novel Hush.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Where Batman was battling this villain named Hush, who it turns out was this character that we had just been introduced to in the story.
Yes.
This character from his past that showed up at the beginning of the story.
Right. Come to find out, he is also the bad guy.
He also is the
terrible
bad guy.
storytelling.
And it's all right here.
Mm-hmm.
Because the duplicity of this guy was already on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And then this whole suspension from the Boston Celtics comes out. Nobody knows exactly what the exact story is.
Right.
You've been suspended, yet you still somehow you've done something so egregious that you've been suspended for a year, yet you still have your job.
Right.
It has something we know to do with another member of the Boston Celtics staff. That's as far as we know.
Right. Oh, so we've already caught up to the current time.
We've caught up to.
Oh my goodness, what's number 1 going to be?
So he's Hush.
He's Hush.
He's just right there.
Right there.
We're just unwrapping.
Oh, okay.
He's just unwrapping, taking off the mask.
Okay, and then the final villain.
The final villain
would be
is Ime Udoka, suspension of belief revoked.
Okay.
And that is because you want to give him the benefit of a doubt.
Do you?
No. Because the reason why you want to give him the benefit of a doubt is because every black man, except Anika Noni Rose Obsessed You, every black man in America is saying, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
You hit the jackpot of jackpots with Nia Long the Boston Celtics, you're making them eat crow with a black coach, getting them to the finals,
Yeah.
building up that team. Everybody was giving you crap. They didn't like what you were doing with the team, but then it turned out that your lesson was actually played out and got y'all all the way to the finals. You got a great nucleus
Look at you.
and now look at you just blowing it all up. Just blowing it all up. And we want to give you the suspension of belief, but that's because we love Nia Long.
Yes.
And you were getting that based on our feelings for her.
Yeah.
But we got so much strong feelings for her that the suspension of belief has been revoked.
Okay.
And you are no longer ready for Nia Long.
Right. It kind of falls apart at the end because you actually never really had belief. Like you started when he was like you never actually believed in him.
No, that's not true.
You never actually
That's not true.
believed in him.
That's not actually absolutely 100% not true. When he got the Boston Celtics job, I didn't like that he went from the Sixers to the Boston Celtics, but like I said, he wasn't the number one assistant.
Right.
So, you're going to take your shot. You're going to take your
shot. And then he was good at it.
And he proved good at it.
Right.
So I was rooting for the guy.
Right.
And then, he's sitting around there. He's got a dad bod. I'm like, okay, dude. Like,
Right. So I guess my question is, at the risk of talking about some more sports stuff that literally bores me to tears. Like sometimes my eyes actually get a little wet when the sporty talk. So are you? So obviously he doesn't deserve to be with Queen Nia anymore.
No,
obviously
no.
Do you think he should keep his job with the Celtics though?
I don't think he ultimately will. I think they.
No, I said, do you think he should?
Well, I can't really say that because I don't know what the story is.
I mean, whatever it is, he slept with somebody that wasn't Nia Long, and I think she was supposedly on the staff. But it doesn't sound like he was stealing other teams' plays.
Right. Having
juicing up some players or beating up players,
cheating on his fiance.
Right, with somebody on, obviously
it's not a fireable offense.
Right.
But sleeping and there's
even the fact
questions of whether or not it's consensual or not.
Right.
But the fact that you are suspended leads me to believe that this was someone who you were superior over.
I mean, it had to be.
It had to be because he was the head coach, and there's only maybe two other people.
It's like Jack Nicholson in A Few Good Men. Like you get to a certain rank, everyone you sleep with by default is you are their superior.
Yeah, and that's where it gets muddy. I think that ultimately he will, if that proves to be the case, because we don't
know.
But if that does prove the case, which is what I strongly believe it is,
right,
then yes, unfortunately, he does deserve to be fired.
Right. Okay. All right.
So
there you go.
There you go.
You see what I did though? Like I tried to bring it back to basketball at the end so that I don't get no subpoena to have to go and testify.
Thank you.
Anymore.
Thank you.
So that was basketball talk.
That was basketball.
There you go. Basketball top 5.
Yes.
Yay, our team. Boo, their team.
All right. Did you watch no, we talked about it. You haven't watched the new Tyler Perry movie.
I have not. I have Netflix. Not yet. No, I have not.
The Jazz Man's Blues.
Yes.
That's the name of it.
Mm-hmm.
My girlfriend watched it. She said it wasn't bad.
I suspect it's going to be not bad. That is what I suspect.
So you will watch it.
Oh, I'm absolutely going to watch it.
So
we got to watch all of them.
So you will report back next week?
Oh, easy. Ain't nobody saying nothing about next week. Slow down.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, I'm not doing it by next week. I can 100% guarantee you I'm not watching it by next week.
What do you think of the news that Black Panther 2 is going to be 2 hours and 41 minutes long?
I think that's fine.
I do too.
I think that's fine. I think
the Batman was almost 3 hours.
I think it has a lot to accomplish.
It does.
Unfortunately, I think a large portion of the film is going to be a celebration of Chadwick Boseman / T'Challa. before we even get to deal with the Namor and the fighting,
Like the main plot.
Like I think a significant amount of screen time is going to be spent with these characters dealing with T'Challa's death.
Yeah, I can see that.
And obviously it's going to be a very thinly veiled celebration of Chadwick Boseman. So, you know, once you do all that, now you got all this other stuff going on. And so I don't mind.
Me neither.
Yeah, I don't mind at all.
All right, Vincent. Are you ready?
All right. Yes, it's not going to be this dude. You're not going to try and connect me to this dude, are you? Because I don't know if he's been in movies or not.
He had a small role.
Like if he wasn't in The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh, or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was in Airplane, or Michael Jordan was in Space Jam, and LeBron James was in Space. There's a surprising amount of basketball players in movies.
You didn't even get to Kevin.
Shaq is
Kevin Garnett. Kevin Garnett, who was in the Adam Sandler film. What's that Diamonds movie?
Oh, I still haven't seen that.
Yeah, he's in that. And
yeah,
of course, Shaquille O'Neal.
Right. Yeah, Shaq's been in 2 or 3 movies.
Yeah. So
I guess you could use a basketball player at some point. Write that down.
So in 6 movies, let's get to Imi. Let's get into the Game of Kings, ladies and gentlemen.
The Game of Kings.
Six Degrees of Derville Martin, where Vincent will attempt to get to an actor of my choice in 6 movies or less from the 70s heartthrob that is one Derville Martin.
One Derville Martin. The man, the myth, the icon.
Vincent in 6 movies or less.
6 movies or less.
Get from Derville Martin.
Derville Martin.
To Matthew McConaughey.
Matthew McConaughey. Huh. Okay. Matthew McConaughey.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right.
I
love that movie.
It's funny. It's like he's in 37 movies where the movie poster is him leaning up against some woman.
Or the title of the movie.
But I'm blanking on every one of his female co-stars. Like every one of his female co-stars, I'm blanking on.
You can like throw a rock. You can.
I know. Okay, Matthew McConaughey. I'm trying to think of something he's in that I like.
Oh, that's a good question. Well, oh God, I don't want to name. I don't want to name movies.
So. You don't want to name movies?
Yeah.
That Matthew McConaughey is in?
I'm looking at his filmography, and I would guess I'm looking at about maybe 3 films that I think you.
3 films. Like. The bad thing is the thing that I like him the most is on True Detective.
I never saw that.
He's not bad.
That's the first season, right?
Yeah, he's not bad.
Him and Woody Harrelson.
Yeah. Okay, Matthew McConaughey.
Mm-hmm.
So Matthew McConaughey is in shit. I don't know what Matthew McConaughey is in.
Do you need help? Give me a year. Because he's pretty prolific.
2000.
2000?
2000.
Okay. 2000. He's only got 1 movie. U-571.
That's the submarine movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even remember who was in that.
Now you know one person. Actually, is a pretty good cast.
Oh my goodness! What's his big one?
His big movie. Well, I guess the big movie is from 2013, Dallas Buyers Club.
Oh my God. He really is in that Kate Hudson sort of what's the white woman's name on Friends that they've been trying to make me care about for 30 years?
Oh, Jennifer Aniston.
Jennifer Aniston. Like, he really is in that. He's on the cover of People magazine every 3 months.
Well, he did he won the Academy Award for Dallas Buyers Club.
That means nothing to me.
It's a big movie because it was a big movie. He won.
Right. Did you see it?
Best actor. I did.
Is it good?
It is good.
Is it good?
It is good.
Oh my God. I don't know what Matthew McConaughey is in that I would know. Some people he was in with him. This is a really good pick.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna go back to his.
And this is an honest pick. Like Matthew McConaughey. What the hell is Matthew McConaughey in? Wait. Is he in Magic Mike?
Oh, I don't. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Thing is, you were just doing his bit from one of the movies.
I know, but it's just all right. But I don't really know, anything about. All right, so he's in Magic Mike. Okay, with what's the himbo dude in Magic Mike?
The himbo, they're all himbos.
Yeah, but the main white,
nothing but himbo.
The main white boy,
Channing Tatum.
Channing Tatum. Okay, all right, here we go. Derville Martin is in Hitman with Bernie Casey.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
You actually told me that.
Okay.
Look it up because this is the foundation of my whole thing.
Of your whole thesis.
Yeah.
Okay, Derville Martin, because I didn't have his filmography up real quick. I got it up now. Derville Martin was in, what was that?
Hitman with Bernie Casey.
Hitman. Derville Martin is not in Hitman.
He's not in Hitman.
No.
I thought you told me he was in Hitman with Bernie Casey. Is that the Bernie Casey movie?
He's not in Hitman. I don't see. I'm looking at his filmography. There's no movie called Hitman. There's no movie that's even called like something like Hitman. So
okay.
I'm not sure what movie you're talking about.
Okay. Derville Martin in that case is in. Let me hunker down. Derville Martin is in, he's in something with Bernie Casey because we talked about this before, but now I just can't remember what he's in with Bernie Casey. Derville Martin.
Oh boy, Vincent, are you getting stumped?
Well, between the Bernie Casey and I'm trying to get to Channing Tatum, and I don't know a lot of Channing Tatum stuff. I'm having a major brain fart. I'm
actually looking at his filmography. I'm not seeing, at least not from what I can see. I'm not even seeing Bernie Casey coming up as like the star of any of the films that he was in.
Yeah, he is. It's what's the name? It's like the Hitman. He's an assassin. He's on the cover and he's got like
Bernie Casey.
He's wearing a hat.
There's more than a few movie posters where people are wearing hats. It's not.
Give me Bernie Casey from like 1971, 72.
Okay, I will look up Bernie Casey. Trust me, ladies and gentlemen, this is way more interesting than anything that's going to happen with the movie.
And I'm trying not to pick up my own phone because I'll probably go right to it.
All right. So Bernie Casey. We're bringing up Bernie Casey here.
It's like 71, 72.
Doing this in real time. Bernie Casey, 1971, 72. Yeah, I see the movie Hitman.
That's not Bernie Casey?
No, Bernie Casey is in it.
I think Derville Martin is in that.
He's not on the cast list.
Of Hitman.
Yeah. Pam Grier is, not Derville Martin. Roger Mosley is, not Derville Martin.
All right. Okay. Derville Martin is in Derville Martin is in
Everybody's like screaming movies.
Sheba Baby. He's in Sheba Baby with Pam Grier.
He is in Sheba Baby with Pam Grier. Yes.
Pam Grier is in Grease Lightning with Richard Pryor.
That is correct. You're doing good so far.
Richard Pryor is in.
Richard Pryor.
Because I got to get the Channing Tatum. Really, I got to get them.
From there, you got to have room.
Right. I got to have room to get to
Matthew
McConaughey. Richard Pryor is in. So what do I have so far? I did. How many have I done?
Sheba Baby.
No. So I did Pam Grier,
Richard Pryor.
So
you did Sheba Baby, Grease Lightning.
Richard Pryor is in Which Way Is Up with Margaret Avery.
He is in Which Way Is Up, and he stars in that with one Margaret Avery. Yes.
Margaret Avery.
Boy, you're stepping into some dangerous waters now.
I know. So Margaret Avery, and now I go to Okay, I'm starting all over again because I got to get to where I'm going faster.
Yeah.
Derville Martin.
Okay.
Is in Derville Martin is in The Big Come Down.
Derville Martin
with Billy D. Williams.
It's in the final.
The final come down. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Billy D. Williams is in the what's our movie?
The Sting?
No, not The Sting, but the dude who made the music for The Sting.
Oh, so the Scott Joplin movie
is in the Scott Joplin.
Hold on, let me get the actual name of that film.
It's called like the Scott Joplin story.
It's called like the Scott Joplin story. Hold on, I just want to get the name of that film. Why don't they just have his freaking filmography here?
Yeah, it's like Scott Joplin.
Yeah, they don't have his like a link to his filmography. I find it.
No, I think that's the name of the movie.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Scott Joplin.
Yeah, all right.
So he's in Scott Joplin.
Billy D. Williams is in Scott Joplin with Margaret Avery. Margaret Avery is in The Color Purple with Lawrence Fishburne.
Okay.
Lawrence Fishburne is in Boys in the Hood with Ice Cube. Ice Cube is in 21 Jump Street with Channing Tatum.
He is.
Yep. Who is in Magic Mike. with Matthew McConaughey?
Hold on. I'm sorry. I just want to
Go ahead.
check on that.
He's in 21 Jump Street. He plays her captain.
Channing Tatum, filmography, 21 Jump Street. Excuse me. Which has a cast of Ice Cube as Captain Dixon.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. Very good, Vincent.
Oh, that was way harder.
Way harder
than it should have been.
Yeah.
How could I have gotten to him in like 2 moves?
Well, everybody was screaming the Wolf of Wall Street.
I didn't even know he was in that.
You were doing the bit. That's him.
I mean, that's what he just does, though.
But that's him in the movie.
Right. I mean, but no, that's him in like real life.
No, but it comes
in. All right.
It really like
all right.
This whole
I didn't see the Wolf of Wall Street.
You didn't see that?
I didn't. I mean, I'm sure it was. I did. Seems like a movie that I would have chosen something else to do.
Okay, but Wolf of Wall Street gets you Leonardo DiCaprio.
Well, I mean, yeah, once I get Leonardo DiCaprio, you get him, Sam Jackson,
and people are screaming out Reign of Fire with Christian Bale.
I forgot he was in Reign of Fire. Is that the helicopters versus the dragons movie?
Yeah.
He sure was in that.
And he was in Time to Kill. That's like one of the movies
that's really right. Imagine the little girl, but imagine if she was black, and that's Sam Jackson.
Yeah. So, all right.
Oof.
That was rough.
That was rough and rugged. Matthew McConaughey's a good one.
That's rough. Are you think you got it in you for one more?
I do. It's look.
This one should be easier.
Oh well. Don't.
This will be easier.
All right.
In 6 movies or less, get from D'Urville
Martin to
Vanessa Williams.
Okay, Vanessa Williams is nice. You probably have fun getting to Vanessa Williams.
Her filmography is not super long.
I know. But I'm gonna get to Vanessa Williams. We were talking about him earlier.
Via Emi Udoka?
No, via one of the greatest films ever made. And this is how I'm going to do that. Okay. Because D'Urville Martin is in we'll go fast because we wasted so much time. D'Urville Martin is in I won't even do Dick Anthony Williams. I'll do Leonard Jackson. D'Urville Martin is in 5 on the Black Hand Side with Leonard Jackson. Leonard Jackson is in Boomerang with Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy is in Coming to America with Samuel Jackson. Samuel Jackson is in Eve's Bayou with Journey Smollett. And Journey Smollett appears with Vanessa Williams with a fake French accent for absolutely no reason whatsoever in Tyler Perry's first foray into serious filmmaking. Tyler Perry's Temptation, a film by Tyler Perry.
Well done, Vincent. Well done. And Ashy Feet is screaming out bingo because we mentioned Nia Long, Anika Noni Rose, and now
you know that in the right, Let the Right One In is coming out in a few days on Showtime. Her new show. That's the adaptation of the movie, the vampire movie.
Oh yeah.
I don't have high hopes for it, but
why don't you have high hopes for it?
I mean, I just don't. I don't like when they adapted it to an American film. Like, I think part of what made it so powerful is that it was like Danish or something. Like there was something kind of eerie and otherworldly about the setting. And then when they adapted it to an American setting, it kind of took away from it. And now I don't really know how you make a series out of it, but you know, I'll be watching. Because Showtime murdered The Man Who Fell to Earth. Did we talk about that? Did we talk about that? I finished it?
No, we didn't. So it ends.
It is fantastic.
Yeah.
It is 10 episodes, and it is fantastic.
Is it a complete story?
It is 100% a complete story.
So, like, if this was the only season, it would be fine.
I don't know how they could continue it.
Okay, so
put
you
it
feel
that
like
way.
it is kind of
like they nail the ending as if this is it.
Okay.
So 10 episodes. I think I said like episode 7 is one of the greatest examples of Afrofuturism I've ever seen.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Chiwetel Ejiofor and Naomi Harris.
Naomi Harris and Clark Peters.
Yeah. Oh, that's right, because he plays her father.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
So I hold out hope that they can do that with Let the Right One In.
Okay.
Because Anika Noni Rose should always have a good job.
Is that going to be on Showtime?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So
okay.
There you go.
All right.
Yes, you do indeed get bingo because we've mentioned all of them.
We've hit it all.
We've hit it all. Now I guess we got to talk about Salt and Pepper.
Salt and Pepper. But first, these messages.
Matthew McConaughey. That was a good one.
Yeah, that stumped you a little bit.
Well played.
Well, there you go.
Usually them bullshit 1940s Heathcliff Rothschilds. And he was really good. He had a run on Broadway in 1952. He was very famous. But yeah, Matthew McConaughey. Very nice.
Thank you. Do you have any respect for any of the older actors?
I mean, I have respect for the ones you know. Like if you said Humphrey Bogart, it's like, okay, well, I mean, like it'd take me a second to get to Humphrey Bogart or Clark Gable or Vivian Lee.
Mm-hmm.
Like stuff that like just I
think
I
Claude
like
Rains. Claude Rains was a name.
Wait, that's not the Lone Ranger? Is that the Lone Ranger?
No.
Who's Claude Rains? What did he do?
He was. I'm not going to go that.
Right. He was 1930.
No,
he was
no.
The Hollywood Reporters.
No. He's in Casablanca.
Oh, right. He's the other guy in Casablanca.
He's the cop.
Right. The other guy.
It's not the other guy. It's not the
other guy. Wait, because he's not even the one that she runs off with.
Right. That's not him.
No. It's not Humphrey Bogart. Is it Sam? No. It's not the black guy. Is it Lauren Bacall? No, that's a woman.
It's not. Well, Lauren Bacall's not in that movie.
No, that's who is it?
Ingrid Bergman.
It's Ingrid Bergman. No, that's a woman. Is it the dude she actually runs off with?
No, it's not him.
No, it's not. You remember the dude who plays the cop?
Who plays the cop?
Yeah.
Who at the end of the movie walks off with Humphrey Bogart, and they say this is
the beginning of a
beautiful friendship.
Right. You know the guy he says this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship too.
Rains.
That's Claude Rains. Everyone knows that.
Everyone does.
Everyone knows
you.
Everyone knows the dude that he says the line to.
I bet they know that more than what tree you stick your hand in Flash Gordon.
Dude, it was the rite of passage. And remember Timothy Dalton was all in his feelings because the princess was playing him against Flash. And then he told Flash, if you were a man, this is what men do. And then he took off his green glove and stuck his hand in there. And then Flash said, I'm an American and it's 1983. And of course I'll do it too. And then he did it. And then they kept doing it. And then Timothy Dalton got stung.
You waste your time with too many of these dumbass 80s movies.
Do I though?
Yes.
Because they're awesome.
No, they're not. There's nothing awesome about Flash Gordon. There's absolutely nothing awesome about that. There's nothing awesome about
Topol has on like a tunic and he's a scientist.
Nobody needs to see an 80-year-old Topol running around in a tunic.
Got on a tunic.
No.
And a sash.
I think like Yves Saint Laurent did all of the clothing.
No, I just told you the dude did the clothes. The dude that won 2 Academy Awards.
Didn't he work with Yves Saint Laurent or something like that?
I'm not.
Oh no. I think Yves Saint Laurent did Sylvester Stallone's outfit for Demolition Man. I feel like he did. I feel like there was a designer.
There was a designer. I want to say Hugo Boss, but
you know what? It might have been Hugo Boss.
But I thought Hugo Boss did the costumes for the Untouchables.
Who knows?
No, this is important stuff.
It's really not.
Yeah. I mean,
It really is not important at all.
Yeah, I thought it was Hugo Boss did Demolition Man.
Perhaps.
I mean, in a lot of ways, this was the most interesting part of those 80s kind of genre-y movies after Tim Burton. Because everybody suddenly was obsessed with the costume design and the sets, and then somebody like Armani or somebody did Dick Tracy.
Yeah, but that's early. That's like early to mid 80s.
Yeah,
like Tim Burton doesn't really come around to like the later part of the 80s.
Right, because Batman's 89. You're right.
Yeah.
So who started that trend?
With like getting the designers
to
probably, like you said, Warren Beatty with Dick Tracy.
But I thought Dick Tracy was after Batman.
Oh yeah, you're right. It was.
Yeah.
Jesus, it just feels like it was before,
Can I tell you the greatest fashion thing that I've read in like 15 years?
What?
It was an essay on the fashions of Jaws.
The fashion of the movie Jaws?
The movie Jaws, like all three of the characters represent this sort of look. And it's like
they definitely look spot on.
Yeah, but it's like the sweatshirts and the field jackets and the leather bags and
because Dreyfuss is
Dreyfuss
like a student.
Yeah, right. Somehow Richard Dreyfuss's character has become a bit of a fashion icon. So
I see it.
All right. You already talked about Salt and Pepper.
I suppose we have.
We got some costumes in Salt and Pepper too.
Yeah, we got it. We got it.
All right, go man, go.
Salt and Pepper, a 1968 British comedy film directed by Richard Donner of Superman fame. Remember that. And starring Sammy Davis Jr., Peter Lawford, and Michael Bates. After discovering a murdered female agent in their nightclub, groovy owners Charles Salt and Christopher Pepper partake in a fumbling investigation and uncover an evil plot to overthrow the government. This film set in the world of the swinging 60s, baby. Yeah. Got your beads. You got it all. It's funky. It's Sammy Davis as you've never seen him before. In Vincent's selection for this stop on the Michaud mission, Vincent, what say you of Salt and Pepper?
Salt and Pepper is a movie that I did not know existed before conservatively 3 years ago. Certainly I saw it once we'd already started the podcast, because I watched maybe 10 minutes of it and I said, oh yeah, we got to talk about this on the show, and turned it off. Right. Because
So
I wanted to watch the whole thing. And it's a mess. This film is a mess for many, many reasons. And if I had to sum it up in one sentence that the dear missionaries need to remember about Salt and Pepper, it is this. In 1968, Sammy Davis Jr. was 43 years old. And frankly, that is all you need to know about the many failures of this film.
There's one other thing I'll leave it for when I
talk. Okay. Oh, let's be clear, and I'll get to this in a moment. I'm going to do my due diligence and talk about it, but let's be clear. I'm just trying to check off all my boxes to get to you. Salt and Pepper, which is a reference to the two characters played by Sammy Davis Jr. and Peter Lawford. Sammy Davis Jr. plays Charles Salt.
What?
And Peter Lawford plays Christopher Pepper.
No,
Which
I think you got that wrong. Peter Lawford must play Charles Salt, and Sammy Davis Jr. plays Christopher.
you would think that, because as a white man, you would think he would play a character named Salt.
Right.
And as a black man, you would think Sammy Davis Jr. plays a character named Pepper. But in fact, Salt is a black man and Pepper is a white man.
So they're challenging conventions.
This is a joke that apparently the filmmakers thought was so funny that is the foundation of several jokes within this film. They play these club owners, as you said, in swinging London in 1968. And this is very much a depiction of London that I suspect existed more in films and media of the time than actual London. And you think about, a film like Alfie. You think about something like Georgie Girl. I was talking to you before we start taping about a list of these depictions of the swinging 60s. And on the list was something like To Sir with Love. With Sidney Poitier. But there is a difference between Sidney Poitier being in the midst of the swinging 60s in London and Sammy Davis Jr.'s Charles Salt being in the midst of the swinging 60s. And the difference is the film wants us to believe that Sammy Davis Jr. is a swinging hip cat.
Yes.
In the midst of all the swinging hip stuff. It's a bit of an odd couple energy that the film wants you to tack on to. You know, these two men, and certainly Peter Lawford is British and he's a white guy, and he looks very good smoking a cigarette and drinking a scotch and soda, and he spends the majority of the film in a tuxedo.
Yes.
And that is a good speed for Peter Lawford, mainly because Peter Lawford doesn't have a lot to offer besides that.
That's correct.
So Peter Lawford absolutely stays in his lane, and it makes sense that the other character would be the one who would be hip and cutting edge. And in the film's defense, you see these relationships in a lot of movies. Speaking of Sidney Poitier, in a lot of ways, that is the dynamic between Sidney Poitier and Bill Cosby in one of our favorite movies, Uptown Saturday Night, where Sidney Poitier is a straight man and kind of, clear-eyed, and then Bill Cosby is the hip cat. So from the beginning, Sammy Davis Jr. as a hip cat just does not work
43-year-old
at all. 43-year-old Sammy Davis Jr. as a hip cat just does not work at all. And we can certainly talk about Sammy Davis Jr. at this moment and everything, because in a lot of ways, unfortunately, this is an accurate reflection of Sammy Davis Jr. and what he was trying to achieve. But within the movie, just talking about the movie, it is distracting. Unfortunately, these two, so Sammy Davis Jr. is distracting. Peter Lawford is just not that good at acting. And unfortunately, this relationship is the foundation for the film, which has a pretty standard plot of there's a murder at the club. Come to find out, the person that is murdered was attached to British intelligence. You have these two characters, they're in over their head, and it's a spoof of spy movies. It's a spoof of these swinging 60s movies. But so much of the film's success or failure is based on the goodwill that you have towards these two actors and their relationship. And within the film, it's just not there. It's just not there. And I have to say, part of what you see in this film is a dynamic that, frankly, I've always been uncomfortable with Sammy Davis Jr. and members of the Rat Pack. Peter Lawford is part of the Rat Pack, the famous Rat Pack. Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., Peter Lawford, and Joey Bishop. In that order. Exactly. Sammy Davis Jr. oftentimes never really seems comfortable in his own skin when he's with the Rat Pack. He's always doing way too much. He always feels like he's got to be on at all times. And it is a little uncomfortable to modern eyes to see this black man
very uncomfortable,
kind of kowtow and in a lot of ways be treated like a mascot. Part of the reason that you can maybe even squint your eyes and deal with it a little bit in something like, say Ocean's 11. I actually think Sammy Davis Jr. is more talented than Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin.
He is.
And I think both of them are very talented. I just think Sammy Davis Jr. is just that much talented. Sammy Davis Jr. deferring to Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin, you kind of, they are cool ass dudes. All right, I'll allow it. Sammy Davis Jr. deferring to Peter Lawford, is unacceptable.
Nope.
It is absolutely unacceptable. And unfortunately, it seems like everyone knew that, except Sammy Davis Jr. So I honestly don't have any more fault with this film itself as I do any of these 60s film. Like when Alfie came out and Georgia Girl came out and all these kind of swinging 60s movies came out, and even the spy films. I love the In Like Flint movies.
Yeah.
With
James Coburn.
Love James Coburn in the In Like Flint movies. But it's a real frivolous content. Like those Flint movies are real frivolous
and do not age well.
But they don't age well because of stuff like Oriental Call Girl, which is a phrase that is used several times in this film.
Okay.
I think they're very sexist. They're very racist. They're very, they're products of their time.
Yeah.
But they get over because of James Coburn. But the films themselves are like, whatever. And I think this film is very much a, whatever film. Certainly there are some faults with the film. I'm sure you may have found some faults. I have to tell you, I couldn't get to the faults. I couldn't even get to the faults of the film. Like some critics talked about the tonal shifts. It's a lot of murder.
Yeah.
For this to be a light film.
Yes, there's a lot of
Sammy Davis Jr.'s Charles Salt kills, I think, 12 people in this film between stabbing them and shooting them.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, it's a lot of people dying in this film for it to be a light swinging 60s film. And that's a little abrupt.
It's abrupt because they both at different times in the film, multiple times, shy away from killing,
right?
And yet there are times they gleefully
I was about to say both of them have this huge body count, so there's stuff like that. But like I said, I could barely get to that because of how distracting Sammy Davis Jr. was trying to be a hip dude at 43 years old in 1968. And let's be clear, this is not Denzel Washington at 40. In the year 2000. This isn't George Clooney at 57. This is 43 years old in 1968, surrounded by 20-year-olds. And it's just sad. There are parts of this film where I'm embarrassed by proxy for Sammy Davis Jr. And again, for a man with infinite talents, for him to play this secondary role to Peter freaking Lawford.
I know.
Just took me out of the whole thing before I could even get to the other parts. So that the film is a failure as a film. But what I really am looking forward to is talking about what was going on around the film.
Well, let me just start with there is no actor in the history of Hollywood who I like less than Peter Lawford. I have absolutely zero regard for Peter Lawford as an actor. I don't think I think he lacks charisma. I think he lacks talent. I think the only thing that the man has going for him is he's not a bad looking man, and he has height. And at the height of his career, which was the late 50s and early 60s, the thing that he had going for him was that at that time he was married into the Kennedy's family.
Yes.
Which meant that he was more or less the right-hand man for Frank Sinatra at that time, who would do anything to curry favor with the Kennedys.
Right. He was actually an in-law.
Yeah,
he was married to Bobby and Ted and JFK's sister.
Right. So but at this point in 1968, you're talking about the Rat Pack, which definitely had their heydays in the early 60s. At this point, the Rat Pack is all but done. It's done. There's no more movies. Ocean's 11, Robin and the Seven Hoods are long in the rearview mirror, and even Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin aren't teaming up as often anymore at all. And as a matter of fact, in 1968, Frank Sinatra is off doing his own thing. Dean Martin is making his way to television,
right,
with his variety show on NBC. Sammy Davis Jr. at this time is 43 years old. But the other thing you have to remember when he takes on this film is that Sammy Davis Jr. at this time, and as he would throughout his entire life, is this close to flat broke because he owes everybody. He does almost everything on credit, and he is literally doing shows to pay past bills. Like, he is barely bringing home any money. But like you said, Sammy Davis Jr., in always wanting to keep up with the Joneses, always wanting to show that, I've got it going on, was living this lavish lifestyle that he could no longer really afford. So he had no choice than to jump at the opportunity that Peter Lawford, who actually produced this film, presents to him as an opportunity for them to do a movie together. Both of them are dying. They are starving for some type of relevance in the mid to late 60s. Dean Martin's got his shows in Vegas. He's soon, in fact, actually, I think in 68, he's already on television. So he's got that going on. And Dean Martin, who in the early 50s and 60s rightfully got himself out of debt and started making tons and tons of dough, is using his money smartly and owns tons and tons of property in Los Angeles and in California. Dean Martin is paid, and he's at that point where he can pick, choose, and refuse. Sammy Davis Jr. and Peter Lawford, they're not. Sammy Davis, I just told you, he's flat broke. He needs to work. He doesn't own any masters to any of his music. Any of the songs that he is putting out that barely get any hits, they're not. They are remakes or covers of other songs,
right? Because so it's like a few years before Candyman.
It's a few years before Candyman. Another song which he's not going to own either,
right?
Peter Lawford, because of a historic falling out with Frank Sinatra, because unable to get to solidify that connection with the Kennedys, Peter Lawford, by way of Frank Sinatra, is all but blacklisted in California, and that's the reason why this production is filmed over in Britain,
right? So, and is he divorced?
He's at this time in 68, I believe he is divorced from the Kennedys.
So he's not even connected to the Kennedys anymore.
Connection anymore. So he again is looking for relevance. 1968, you got these two 40-year-olds, Sammy Davis 43, Peter Lawford, I believe, is 45. They are striving to look cool. And just like all old men, especially old white men, because like I said, Peter Lawford is the one running the show here. They're late to the dance. They're just late to the party, and they want to be seen as hip. They want to be seen as what's happening. Sammy Davis is pivoting away from the Rat Pack vibe, and now he's trying to lock on to this psychedelic 60s vibe by way of him wearing like nothing but the Nehru jackets in this in this film. Like Sammy Davis Jr. literally changes suits from room to room. You talk about Peter Lawford
that's actually kind of amusing.
It is amusing. It is amusing. And to be fair, there are a couple of the outfits that, while they are of the time, I can kind of rock with them. Like,
I will clown you forever if you show up wearing anything that Sammy Davis Jr. wears in this movie.
No, I thought, okay, I'm gonna tell you. There's two things that he wore that I didn't think were bad. I'm not saying I would necessarily wear them.
I dare you.
But I think of the time. He's got on, and I think it's brown, like Nehru jacket. It's got like a gold zipper, and he's got like a turtleneck underneath it. I didn't think that was a bad look. I mean, I don't think he pulls it off, but I don't think it is a bad look.
Okay.
And then there's a time where he's got this really big kind of like blousy gray sweater that's got this red and black kind of stripe across the
right. Is that where he's wearing like the leather tights? The
tights don't work.
The leather tights.
But the sweater I thought was nice.
And the leather.
I thought the sweater was nice. Yeah, I like this one. It's of its time.
Okay.
But of its time, I thought it wasn't bad.
Okay.
But the point of that though is that Sammy Davis is trying desperately to look hip.
Right.
Like, because there are times you talked about he performs two songs in this movie. One is kind of like just the background. It's the theme song to the movie. It plays out at the end.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even match the tone of the movie because it's not groovy. It sounds like one of those, like it sounds like of the 50s and the 40s.
But it's the best song.
It's the best song. It's the best song because it's him in his range.
Yes.
The other song that he sings, which I don't even know what it is, but it's some dumbass swinging song.
Oh my God.
Where, to his credit, like you said, he's a multi-talent. He is on stage playing multiple instruments. He's playing the drums. He
plays the trumpet for a second.
Plays the trumpet for a little bit. But the song is stupid. The song, it absolutely makes no sense because it sounds like a 40, 50-year-old trying to make music that they think 20 and 30-year-olds want to listen to and dance to.
Right.
And it totally misses the mark. It's just a total failure. But I couldn't help but watching him flit around in this movie, I couldn't help but get Prince flashbacks. I don't know if you saw that. I think it's because he's short and he is dressed in his own movie, much the way Prince would be dressed in his own movie.
See, again, the difference is Prince was infinitely cool.
No, you're right. Infinitely.
So when
cool.
he would kind of flit across the stage and do Prince stuff, it was like Prince was, I know all eyes are on me.
Yeah.
Sammy Davis Jr. is, please everyone look at me.
On me. Yes. With Sammy Davis Jr., you see him sweat.
Right.
You see him sweat throughout this.
And
movie.
you see him like sneaking peeks at the audience.
Yeah.
To see if they're looking at him.
Right. But he's also doing that because he is acting against a board.
True.
In Peter Lawford.
Absolutely.
Because Peter Lawford in this movie, I think the only reason he did this movie is because he wanted to try and finally be the quote unquote Frank Sinatra in a film.
Right.
Because you notice, like, Sammy Davis Jr., probably by way of just his makeup and the way that he's kind of like navigated throughout his whole career. Yes, he's trying very hard to be hip, but there are moments of self-deprecation.
Yes.
In this film of him. Peter Lawford is above all that. He's above any of that. And even when he actually does try to be funny, it comes off as stiff and boring and just another way of showing off how completely untalented he is.
Yeah.
He is absolutely untalented. Also, when being late to the show, this movie is 1968. It's supposed to be like a swinging spy spoof. By 1968, the two Flint movies, I think they've already been made.
Mm-hmm.
They're done. Dean Martin is probably making the last of his Matt Helm movies.
Yeah.
Which are spy spoof.
Another that because
and
the main
those movies are like very diminishing returns. I think he did 4 of them.
Yeah.
They are extremely diminishing returns. And by the time he does the 4th one, it's a huge flop.
I mean, he's tired.
Well, he's tired. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
Dean Martin, he hasn't. Dean Martin has not cared since 1950 something.
Yeah.
He's not cared about anything since 1950. But again, this is a image of these two guys that late to that party. Right?
Yeah.
And then not long after this, which to be fair, because it's a low budget film, it's a little bit of a hit. Enough of a hit that it does spur a sequel a few years later called One More Time.
Yeah.
Directed by Sammy Davis Jr.'s good friend, Jerry Lewis. Another person who was desperately trying to hold on to irrelevance at this moment.
Yeah.
This not long after this film, this is when Sammy Davis tries to appeal to the black audience, which is kind of like leaving him behind, because in this movie he's strictly trying to appeal to white kids.
Yeah.
It's not about black kids.
No,
it's about white kids.
Yeah.
So now he tries to shift and start appealing to black kids. It's not long after this film that he blows out his straightened hair and he starts rocking an afro.
Yeah, I noticed he actually has an afro in the sequel.
Right.
Yeah.
He actually not long after this signs a deal with Motown for an album that comes out and flops hard. And he starts trying to, find his voice in Black America.
Yeah.
But Black America is not feeling him. The Democratic Party is not feeling him because they pretty much ostracized him because of the whole Kennedy thing, and they don't. And because they're against him because he's married to a white woman at this time, my Brit.
Right.
So Sammy Davis Jr. will make a hard pivot, which will almost ruin the rest of his career to the Republican side.
Yeah.
In an infamous picture with Richard Nixon.
My dad did not mess with Sammy Davis Jr., I think, to when he passed.
No, there are a lot.
My
of
dad
people.
did not rock with Sammy Davis Jr.
There are a lot of people
at
that
all.
did not rock with Sammy Davis Jr. after that. But
although my parents went to see him when my mom was pregnant with me.
Well, the thing is that one, you said it. He is an extremely talented man.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot knock the man's talent. It is phenomenal. It is absolutely phenomenal. And when you see him on stage, my mom has always said like the best show that she ever saw, best live show she ever saw was Sammy Davis Jr. in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Back in I think the 50s or 60s.
Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness.
It was literally like at the height of his powers.
Yeah.
It was literally the best show she ever saw. And he leaves it all on the table. Now you realize he's leaving it, when you learn the backstory, you realize he's leaving it on the table because he's literally playing for his supper.
Right.
But God bless the man, he's doing the damn thing. So yeah, they would go still see him. You don't agree with the man politics, but you can't knock the man's skill. You can't knock the man's gift.
Mm-hmm.
But the shame of it is that this man, who may have been singularly one of the most talented people to ever walk the earth, was unfortunately his own worst enemy.
Absolutely.
In throughout his career.
Yeah, absolutely.
Throughout his career.
Yeah. And I think this is our 4th film
Mm-hmm.
with Sammy Davis Jr. because he was in the film with Eartha Kitt,
Anna LaCosta.
with Anna LaCosta, where he would have been a young man, and he just acts in Anna LaCosta, like he doesn't sing or dance. And we said it, like, check the record. He's a pretty good actor.
He definitely has.
He's a pretty good actor.
Yeah.
Porgy and Bess, in a lot of ways, it's a mess of a movie. Far and away the best thing in Porgy and Bess
is Sammy Davis Jr.
It's Sammy Davis Jr. Far and away. Years after this, my favorite Sammy Davis Jr. performance on film in Tap. Tap is, I don't know how many years before he's going to die. Like, he's actually an old man in Tap.
It's not long.
And his talent comes off the screen in Tap as he's almost dying.
Yeah.
So it's so frustrating to see him at 43, which, let's be clear, 43 in 1968, hanging out with the cool hip white kids in London, you look like an old man.
Yep. Yeah. 43 is 63 today.
But he's not old at 43. Like if he would just
stay in his lane,
be Sammy. And
well, the thing is, I don't know if he knows what Sammy is.
Well, he absolutely does know. We were I joked about waiting to get to your part. Just a little background. Last week before I left, Len got in his bag and started talking about the also, like, I stood up for almost a half hour holding my messenger bag, not leaving, because Len was like, I love all of this history of him, and I don't know as much as you, but you know, one of his biography is one of my favorite biographies of all time.
Which one? The first one or the second one?
It's the one called Sammy, which I think it's his last biography.
I don't think he wrote that.
No, he co-wrote it.
Okay.
But he co-wrote it with I forget her name, but it folds in Yes I Am and Why Me. But he talks about how there are points in his life where, regardless of how distasteful some of us see the relationship with Frank Sinatra would basically have an intervention and say, Sammy, you need to just be Sammy. Like, I know when he had his eye patch and he started getting like designer eye patches, and Frank Sinatra was the one that told him, that's a gimmick. You don't need a gimmick. Like, you're Sammy Davis Jr. And I believe Frank Sinatra was the one who told him to stop dressing like a damn clown.
Frank Sinatra, yeah.
Like, you're Sammy Davis Jr. Like, put on a tuxedo, get on stage, and be Sammy Davis Jr.
Yeah.
So it's so frustrating to see him in this mode right now. And it's almost like he wasted some years.
Well, unfortunately, because of that relationship, which was definitely fractured, because yes, did Frank Sinatra open some doors for Sammy Davis Jr.? He certainly did. You can't, there's no denying of that. And Frank Sinatra was instrumental in some places treating Sammy Davis Jr., let's say, better than they would other Black performers. They never gave him their full respect, but they treated him a little bit better. But a lot of that was you juxtapose that with Frank Sinatra making Sammy Davis Jr. very often the butt of his jokes.
Right.
Sometimes when Sammy is not even there.
Yeah.
He's not even there, and he's still making jokes about his good friend. So you know, I've always, like, as I've grown more and learned more of the history, I've got real ambivalent feelings about Frank Sinatra in this space. Sammy Davis Jr.'s relationship with Dean Martin is a more solidified one. But because Dean Martin and his, practice aloofness, he would extend an olive branch out to Sammy. And then when Sammy didn't take it, he'd be like, okay.
I guess I'll go back to my fabulous life being rich in Dean Martin.
Can't say I didn't tell you.
Right.
Right. All right, bro. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be cool.
Right.
So, but
that's Amore is playing as he walks out the room.
Right.
Yeah.
With a plate of spaghetti. But Sammy Davis, he spent almost his entire career, all the way up to that final tour, that Misbegotten tour that he
Is that
Frank
the one?
Sinatra and Dean Martin do in the 80s.
Yeah.
He spends his entire career believing that he owes something to Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
And to a degree, while he does owe him a little bit of his career, that had been paid off.
I was about to say at some point, yeah.
If at some point you really just get the cojones, that debt had been paid off. And to his discredit, the person who was in his ear about that throughout his life was first Eartha Kitt, because he had a famous relationship with Eartha Kitt back in the Anna LaCosta days. Then his marriage to his wife, My Britt.
Yeah.
She was always like, Sammy, I don't like the way these people treat you. I don't like the way they're talking about you. You really need to, like, do A, B, and C, take care of the money. Let's get things all together. Let's get it right. And Sammy would just like kind of dog her out to the point where eventually they break up.
Yeah.
And then he would later marry Altarese, the woman who he was married to at the time of his death. But Sammy spent his entire life trying to keep up with the Sinatras.
Right.
And it ultimately was what ruined him and what ruined his career. The beautiful thing about Tap, and the movie that you forgot, we actually 5 films, is A Man Called Adam. We did that.
Right.
Which was his own production.
Yeah.
Which was his own way of trying to, get out there. The unfortunate thing is that charisma that you saw in Anna LaCosta and in Porgy and Bess, and it's kind of there in A Man Called Adam. Sammy Davis, because of how gifted he is, I think he had the acting chops, but he needed training. He needed training. And I think with more training, taking it a little bit more seriously, he could have done more work. Dean Martin never took acting seriously. He didn't care. So he pretty much was Dean Martin on screen. Say what you want about Frank Sinatra. There are moments in Frank Sinatra's filmography where Frank Sinatra leans in and tries to give a nuanced performance.
Absolutely.
And absolutely does.
Yeah.
And shows that he's got the chops. And then when he leans on and he listens to a director and he listens to his coaches and people in his ear, he can give you a pretty magnetic performance. Sammy Davis, A Man Called Adam, was his opportunity to do that. And it's a failure, unfortunately.
Well, how much does he do any acting after his run on Broadway?
His run on Broadway and Golden Boy, that's
because Golden Boy is after.
No, that all precedes this. Golden Boy is actually like in the mid-60s.
No. I know it precedes this, but this is some nonsense. Okay. I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
Is there something that he's in where he can actually act?
Well, yes.
After he's been on Broadway,
because then he does.
Because I think he's good in Tap.
Because he does. What is it? Mr. Bojangles. That becomes his big hit. But that is part of. I think that is part of an actual Broadway production.
Oh, I meant in film.
Oh, he's not really.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he's
not really in film.
He's not in film again until your movie, Cannibal. He's not in film again, really, until Cannibal.
Cannonball Run isn't actually a good showcase for the acting prowess that I'm talking.
But that's his next opportunity.
That's his next opportunity.
That's his next opportunity in film. I mean, he definitely still there in the culture. He does Mr. Bojangles. He does which spurs Candyman, which is his biggest hit. His biggest hit of his career. He then has a memorable appearance in the early 70s on All in the Family, where he historically kisses Carol O'Connor's Archie Bunker.
Right.
Are you looking at his filmography?
I am seeing if it's anything that we can look at.
I don't think there's really anything after.
I think you're right. Yeah, because Cannonball Run is 81.
Right. Yeah, throughout all of the 70s,
right,
he's trying to recreate his career.
Right. You've got television and
because then he shows up on the Dean Martin roast. They do a roast for him, and he shows up on Laugh-In,
right.
where he basically is kind of like a little minstrel.
It's
here comes the judge.
I was listening to it, and I thought that was Pigmeat Markham. Like, why did I think that was Pigmeat Markham?
Oh, you didn't know that was Sammy?
I don't
No,
think
no.
I thought that
Yeah,
was
that was
Pigmeat
Sammy.
Markham doing Here Come, because I thought that was his
No,
bit.
I think it was his bit, but Sammy
picked it up and
ran with it.
said, I like that.
And ran
Yeah,
with
that's
it.
no good.
It's not.
I was listening to some of that earlier. I said, oh, that's no good, Sammy.
No. And even then, he's missing the boat because he's on this like countercultural show, Laughing, but it's made by two older white guys.
I know.
You know, I mean, it's kind of cool, but there's a reason why Laughing doesn't run anymore.
Right.
It does not age very well because it's not really that funny. And I contend that Tap, by way of Gregory Hines, is really a reclamation project for Sammy Davis.
Oh,
Jr.
I don't even think you have to contend that. Like, I think that's what Gregory Hines said in so many words, you know.
And that's why, while it definitely is a spotlight for Sammy Davis Jr., I think that's why you also have him there in the midst of the Nicholas brothers and all the other
yeah. Look, the great irony of Tap is that my interpretation was Sammy Davis Jr. as this man with infinite talents.
Mm-hmm.
He downplay is a really strong word, but frankly, I feel a little comfortable with it. I feel like there were moments where he downplayed his tap dancing.
Well, yeah.
But at the end, I think that is in Tap, and that kind of Tap period. That was what was so beautiful about Sammy Davis Jr. at the end.
Yeah,
like him as this tap dancer.
Yeah, see, but I mean, I don't see it as a tap period. Like I say, I see it more as like
it's only like a year or two, if that.
Thus, it wasn't a period.
Yeah.
Look, it was unfortunately the end,
right?
And it was, like I said, kind of like a recontextualizing of Sammy Davis,
right?
And a reappreciation of him,
right?
It didn't mean that the warts weren't still there. It didn't mean that he wasn't someone who should have loomed so much larger in the culture.
And not to put too fine of a point on it, I don't think it's accidental that recontextualizing and that reappreciation was funneled through arguably the blackest thing that he did
at the time,
which was the dancing.
Yeah.
So
your brother is pointing out that him showing up on the Cosby Show.
Yeah, he was on the and it's a great episode. And
he doesn't play. He plays like somebody. He's not.
He plays. His granddaughter is having a baby.
Right.
That's right. But he and Bill Cosby have amazing chemistry. So much so that, remember, they went on tour together.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, Sammy Davis Jr. and Bill Cosby.
Before that,
I thought it was after he was on the Cosby Show.
I mean, he's not in like the Cosby Show is not that long before he passes away.
Yeah, well, that period, he and Bill Cosby actually did some shows together.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
So would you recommend that people see Salt and Pepper?
You know what? Unfortunately, I wouldn't, and I really do mean that. Unfortunately, I wouldn't, because I really do think, regardless of how embarrassing this performance is, I think, like you just said, I'm just going to repeat what you just said. I think Sammy Davis Jr. is one of the most talented people to ever walk the earth.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like any moment where he has been captured on film, by default, you should recommend it. And certainly I've fallen down rabbit holes. Like, I have 2 rabbit holes that I fall down on YouTube that I don't even mess with them after like 10 o'clock, because I know I'll be up till 2-3 in the morning. And that's the Jacksons and the Jackson family. Like, I don't mess with the Jacksons on YouTube, because I'll look up, it'll be 2 in the morning. And Sammy Davis Jr. But, unfortunately, I would not recommend this.
No, me neither. And unfortunately, outside of maybe Anna LaCosta, and I guess to a degree for the silliness of it, and he's the best thing in the movie, Ocean's 11, the original, I wouldn't recommend any Sammy Davis Jr. movie. I get okay, maybe Tap, of course, but I don't see that as a Sammy Davis Jr. movie.
I like parts of Porgy and Bess, and I think he's good enough in Porgy and Bess to recommend Porgy and Bess.
Okay, I think that if you watch Anna LaCosta, you watch Ocean's 11, watch that scene in Tap, and then you could and then fall down the Sammy Davis Jr. YouTube rabbit hole.
He's in Robin and the Seven Hoods, isn't he?
Yes, he sings a song in that, but that's not a good movie. He sings the theme song. It's not a good movie. It's a horrible movie.
He's the only one that sings in that, because I know he's the only one with a performance in Ocean's 11 too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's a horrible movie.
I have no memory of Robin and the Seven Hoods.
No one does.
Yeah, of course.
You know who remembers Robin and the Seven Hoods? The cast of Flash Gordon.
The cast of Flash Gordon.
It's funny you bring up that you fell down a Michael Jackson's rabbit hole.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how this happened. I was watching YouTube the other day, which I watch when I'm eating and I know I got to get back to work, so I don't want to get tied into something. So I just watch short bites of something.
Right.
And I don't know how it happened, but something had Michael Jackson on it. So I was watching it.
That's how they get you.
And then the next thing that came up was the video for Blame It on the Boogie. I never knew there was a video for Blame It on the Boogie. And it's not a good video.
Oh yeah, that's how they get.
No, you. I know what it is that I saw. I know what it is I saw. The Jackson 5 plus
Randy
as guests on the Tonight Show.
Oh, come on. Stop.
Which was great. It actually was great because they like do a totally like different version of what's this song? It's one of their like more like like kiddie songs, but they do like an adult version of it. It is so cool.
Let me tell you,
they're horrible guests. When they sit on the panel, they're horrible, boring guests.
Yes.
But them performing, and Michael, like definitely like Michael is like he's teenage Michael. Like, they're all big afro.
Right.
They're all, you know.
My boy Cliff says they're all the same height.
Yeah.
When they're all the same height.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah,
the Jackson 5 when they all the same height.
They got upholstery on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They are kill. They kill that. And then I turned it off because they were horrible. But that's what I watched, and then it fell me down.
You can spend an hour just watching performances of the Jacksons doing "Show You the Way to Go" on European television.
Yeah,
like they're just just on these weird talk shows. In Europe, where like Motown will show you the way to go they had already left. It's on Philly International. But like Dancing Machine, when they were still on Motown, and they showed like that weird period where like Motown didn't know what to do with them. They were recording with Philadelphia International, but I don't know how much of a budget people had. So somehow they're in Finland on like the Sven Hines show. Tonight, the Jackson 5. Stop. Come on. I'm telling you. You're looking at the video for Dream Street by Janet Jackson.
Yeah. Found out that hole.
Yeah.
Found out that hole. J. Marie says the Jackson's variety show is addictive as F.
Come on. Stop.
I wish I watched it live. I think it came on the year I was born.
Come on.
Probably did. Deborah Battle said this was about the time of their Vegas shows before they left Motown.
That's right. That's right. Little, like I love when the Jacksons variety show would come on. It was just the whole Jackson family. They were just dancing.
Yeah.
Like this, they just be grooving. And Michael would be dancing with LaToya. Because LaToya was the baddest sister.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, they talked about that on the Johnny Carson clip, because they talked about how this is going to be the first time all of the family is going to be on the tour, and them bringing Janet and LaToya and even Rebe.
Yeah.
I see people shouting out about the Jackson 5 on Soul Train. I never liked the Jackson 5 on Soul Train because they're lip singing.
Right.
The beautiful part about this performance on Johnny Carson is that they're actually singing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it is.
Oh
great.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So I don't mess with the Jacksons on YouTube after a certain hour. And I'll mess with Sammy Davis Jr. because he's another one that for 50 years there was footage of him.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, he was on Archie Bunker. He was on he was on various variety shows, and you see him with Lola Falana and James Brown and this
little career.
So
he had a thing with Lola Falana.
Yeah. Yes, he did.
He had a thing.
Yes, he did.
He had a thing.
A fond ass. Lola Falana wasn't nothing to play with.
He met her on in Golden Boy.
Oof.
Yeah, she was one of the dancers. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
Before we tell you what we're going to get to next week, because next week is the beginning of October.
Here we go.
Boo-tober.
We got some good ones too.
I
know I say that every year, but every year I think we do program some really good ones.
Some good ones.
But we got some good ones.
We do. But before we get to that, ladies and gentlemen, I invite you to check out the Micheaux Mission 2 Men 1 podcast. Every black film ever made. Go to micheauxmission.com, where you can hit swag and check out all the cool designs that we have available for your buying pleasure by way of our good friends at T Public. You can also leave the Micheaux Mission a voicemail called 215-867-9666. Let Vince and Len know what's on your mind. If you can't find that phone number, it'll be in the show notes for you on our podcast. Feel free to email us at micheauxmission@gmail.com. That's MICHEAUXMISSION@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Micheaux Mission. Subscribe to youtube.com/Micheaux Mission. And wherever you get our fine audio podcast, please give us a 5-star rating and a review, especially if it's on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you find your podcast. Trying to get to 200 reviews by the end of the year. So that's, if you want to help out our show, that's the best way you can do it. All right. And don't forget, the Micheaux Mission is a proud member of The Podglomerate, thepodglomerate.com. They make podcasts work. Next week, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, is Boo-tober, our annual soiree into the films of black horror. And Vincent kicks off things this month.
I'm up again.
You're up again.
All right.
You're up again at bat, and boy, he's got a doozy. He's got a doozy for you, ladies and gentlemen, because he's dipped into the filmography of the Wayans brothers. Right.
And once again, into the filmography of Regina Hall.
Yes, sir. That's right. Who stars along with Sean and Marlon Wayans in Scary Movie from 2000.
Oh my goodness. How is this film 20 years old?
I know, 22.
Oh. That's
this
scary.
This movie can drink.
That's scary right there.
This movie can drink, bruh. Next week, live here on the Micheaux Mission, we will be reviewing Scary Movie. Until then, he's Vincent and I'm Len. And in parting, we say,
we'll see you